Hello, I'm Mike, and this is we are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 7 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine today. This issue we got 2 new paints and a measuring ruler, so we can now learn how to move our models around the battlefield. Looking through the issue first, we have some more history or backstory on the realm spheres. So we've learned a bit about the cosmology of the mortal realms before. Effectively, the realm spheres are 8 orbs of the different types of magic, and the centre of which is stable enough for mortals to live. So we have Ulgu, the realm of shadows, Hish, the realm of light, Azir, the realm of the heavens, Giran, the realm of life, Gur, the realm of beasts, Shaman, the realm of metal, actually the realm of fire, and Shyish, the realm of death. And on the next page you can see a sort of a closer look at the realm of fire particularly, and it even shows the Great Parch, which if you follow the Mortal Realms series, a lot of the later parts of that series took place there. And it does note that the taint of chaos has seeped into all of the realms, regardless, despite the best efforts of the other forces in the areas. Then we're straight on to the painting guide. We've got 2 new paints, Corax White and Catachan Flesh. So we're adding some Catachan Flesh to the Gutrippaz, going over all of the leather parts of their grimy clothing, and also picking out some white details on the dead Stormcast on the Killaboss's base with Corax White. Oh, there's a couple of wooden bits as well to look out for as well, actually. So they're fairly quick, fairly easy to do. We've got big solid areas to get done. And then we're adding the same 2 colours to the Stormcast. There are a few other details actually to go for in Leadbelcher as well, actually, for the Stormcast. So we've got the handle for the shield, so you can take them off if you haven't glued them on. And then go over things like straps and belts and so forth on the Stormcast Vindictors with Catachan Brown. And there's a couple of smaller details, I think even like the Praetor Prime's hair and the book that the Knight-Arcanum has. And also going over some Corax White for some of the inside of the robes and the rockery that the Knight-Arcanum's mounted on. So you can see the models up to this point. In fact, the Vindictors are actually starting to look fairly complete as well. Do take some care about painting that white sort of lightning bolt effect around their shields. That's probably the fiddliest part during this step. But that's our quick look at the issue over. Hand you over to Will, where we'll learn all about moving around.
So we've got quite a lot of new rules to learn in this issue, but they all focus around measurements and distances using the new range ruler that we got with this issue. So there's a picture of it here, and it just explains that it's marked in inches, and all distances in Age of Sigmar are measured in inches. And when measuring distances between models, you measure from the closest points on their 2 bases. So in this picture, these 2 models are within 3 inches of each other because it's 3 inches between the closest points on their bases. And over the page we learn about movement. So each war scroll that we have now includes a movement statistic, which you can see is in the top quadrant there of the circle to the left. So the Knight-Arcanum, for example, has a move of 5 inches. And this is relevant during the movement phase, although it doesn't explicitly say that, but it explains how to move your models during the movement phase, during which you can pick all of your units and move any or all of them that you want to. And when doing so, the easiest way to do it is to measure from the front of a model's base and then move it to anywhere within up to its total movement distance. Units of more than one model have to remain in something called coherency, which basically means, like these Vindictors, all the models in the unit have to be within 1 inch of another model in their unit when they finish any kind of move. Units can move anywhere that you want within their movement distance, but they're not allowed to pass through other units or other models, and they're not allowed to move off the edge of the battlefield. But then, as in this example, these Vindictors have moved up their distance, and once you've done that you can pick another unit and move until you've moved all of your units that you wish to. And now we move on to the rules for charging, which happens unsurprisingly in the charge phase, which comes after the shooting phase but before the combat phase, as you can see in this diagram here. When making a charge, you pick a unit that was within 12 inches of an enemy unit, and you roll 2d6 and add those together, and that's the number of inches that your unit can charge. But it must finish that charge move within half an inch of an enemy unit, but otherwise you're free to move them wherever you want. So as in this example, the Killaboss has rolled a 3 and a 2 for a 5-inch charge, and that's enough to get within half an inch of these Vindictors, and so decides to charge there. Whereas down here, only rolling a 4 is not enough to get within half an inch, so the charge fails, and if that happens then the units do not move anywhere. And the charge phase is how you engage in close combat with enemy models. We're not normally allowed to move into a certain distance of enemy models unless you make a charge move. And finally, we also learn about range for weapons. So all weapons have a range, including melee weapons. So in this case, the Knight-Arcanum's Valedictor Stave has a 2-inch range, so she can use it to attack any model that was within 2 inches during the close combat phase. Or here, the Hobgrot Slitter's Sulfuric Scrap Grenades have an 8-inch range, so during the shooting phase, they can attack any enemy unit within 8 inches. And with both close combat and missile weapons, when attacking with a unit, you measure all the models individually, and only the ones that are within range are allowed to attack. So any that are not in range cannot make attacks in that phase. And now we're on to this issue's game. The Knight-Arcanum is still looking for arcane secrets in these ruins, but once again has been ambushed and attacked by some Auric Gutrippaz, and reinforcements for both sides are rushing to try and swing the battle. So all the models are deployed like this. We've got the 10 Gutrippaz fighting the Knight-Arcanum in one of the circles in the centre of the board, and the Killaboss and Stabgrot and the 5 Vindictors are deployed in circles in the corners on the left, as you can see there. But it now says that where previously we've been using these circles as indicators of who can fight, we ignore them after setup is completed and we now move using the rules we've just learned. So the Stormcast get the first turn, and with War Scroll updates you can see both the Knight-Arcanum and the Vindictors can move up to 5 inches, and they both have a 2-inch weapon range for their melee weapons. And just a sequence here of what they do in their turn, so now the Vindictors can move in the movement phase and charge in the charge phase, and then we fight as we did in the previous issue. And for the Cruel Boys, the Killaboss's weapons both have a 1-inch range, whereas the Gutrippaz spears have a 2-inch range. And again, you can move the Killaboss and charge with him in their turn. Now the game continues until either all of the Gutrippaz are slain or the Knight-Arcanum is slain. If the Gutrippaz are all slain, the Stormcast win, and if the Knight-Arcanum is slain, the Cruel Boys win. So we'll see examples of all the rules we've just learned as we play through the game, so we'll get it set up and get straight into it. So we set up our models as instructed, and it does say you can put the models on the left-hand side anywhere within those circles, so we've both put them as close as we can to the fighting that's already going on, but the Stormcast get to go first. So starting in the movement phase, we saw that the Vindictors have a 5-inch move, so I've placed the range rule down here, and then, well, we'll start with the Prime, moves 5 inches, so it gets to there, measuring from the front of the base to the front of the base, and I'll just move all the other models and then show you what that looks like. And there we go, so moving up the rest of the squad and maintaining coherency where every model is within 1 inch of at least one other model. And the Vindictors are within 12 inches of an enemy unit, so in the charge phase they will now declare a charge. I don't have to declare which unit, I just roll and we can see where they can go. So we roll 2d6 and add these together, and we're looking for a reasonably good roll here. Like not a 3, that's definitely not enough. Yeah, so as you can see, 3 inches is definitely not enough to get them within half an inch of anything. We're probably looking for at least a 6, so they fail their charge and they don't move. So that means we're on to the combat phase, where because it's my turn I can pick the Knight-Arcanum to fight, but she might struggle to beat all of these Gutrippaz by herself. So Borea Starfang has 3 attacks, and she is in weapon range of course, so she hits twice, and she falls. She does not make any wounds. Then the Gutrippaz get to attack back, and as you can see, all of them are within 2 inches of Borea Starfang, which is the range of their wicked stabbers, so they are all able to attack her.
20 attacks from Murkeye and the Stormchaserz, looking for 4s. 11 hits, looking for 4s again to wound. Looks like 5 wounds.
And she has a 3+ save, which she makes all of, so she doesn't take any damage. Well, that's the end of the Stormcast turn, on to the Auric's turn. So first up in their movement phase,
Morleck and Kneebiter are going to move 5 inches towards the Knight-Arcanum, so get some to out there. Kneebiter just follows along, and then Morleck will try and charge something. Oh, his charge roll is a 10. It's going to be enough to get him somewhere into either of those units, but I think 10 inches is actually just about enough to get both Morleck and Kneebiter into range of the Knight-Arcanum, so they'll go in to help out the Gutrippaz.
Yeah, so Morleck finishes within half an inch of the Knight-Arcanum, and then Kneebiter can go anywhere.
Yeah.
But he's now within half an inch, but he is within 1 inch to attack with his weapon as well.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to pick them to go first to attack the Knight-Arcanum. So, 4 attacks from Morleck's Boss Hacker on 3s, doing 3 hits. Wounding on 3s. 3 wounds, that's rend -1.
So 3 4+ saves, failed 1, so she takes 2 damage, she's down to 4.
And Kneebiter with his prized Shiv, 3 attacks, that all miss. Needed 4s.
But now they've gone, Borea Starfang gets to go, she's going to attack the Gutrippaz again, try and cut down the number of attacks coming at her. 3 attacks, all on 3s. She missed 3 times.
20 attacks from the Gutrippaz. They got 17 hits, so they're obviously keen to impress the boss. Can they do as well with their wound roll? 5, 6, 7, 8 wounds.
8 3+ saves. Failed 3, she's down to 1 wound remaining. Not looking good for the Stormcast. So back to the Stormcast turn, and the Vindictors have moved up. There is a rule that usually would prevent you getting quite this close to enemy units without charging them, but I think we learn about it in the next issue, so we're not going to make any real difference here anyway. And then they'll declare a charge in the charge phase. So they roll a 5, which will be enough to get them in this time. So they'll come into the fight here. They are going to put all their attacks on the Gutrippaz though, because that's my victory condition. And they are all within 2 inches of a Gutripper, so they can all attack them. So 10 attacks from them, hitting on 3s. We've got 7 hits, wounding on 3s. 4.
4 6+ saves from the Gutrippaz. Oh, we made one, so that will kill one and wound another.
But then the Cruel Boys get to pick a unit.
I'm going to pick Morleck to go first. And he's going to go for the Knight-Arcanum again. 4 attacks on 3s, getting 3. And 3s, getting 2.
2 4+ saves. Ah, yeah, failed both. So she's dead, and the Cruel Boys instantly win. So the Vindictors sadly were not in time to save Borea Starfang, and she goes down to the blade of the Killaboss. So Cruel Boys victory in our first attempt. We'll set it up again and let the Cruel Boys go first this time. So we'll go again and let the Cruel Boys go first this time, so straight to their movement phase.
So I think we'll go for the same strategy as last time. Going to beeline straight for the Knight-Arcanum. So Morleck has nearby to have moved, and then Morleck will try and charge. Well, only a 4 this time.
Yeah, so it does not make it in, but the Cruel Boys' turn means that they do get to pick a unit first.
20 attacks from the Gutrippaz. We've got 11 hits, and wounding on 4s. Getting 5 wounds.
5 3+ saves, failed 1, down to 5 wounds. And hitting back with the Knight-Arcanum, she hits 3 times, it's on 4s, 1.
6+ save, no.
D3 damage, 1. But then we'll be on to the Stormcaster. The Vindictors move up again and they will attempt a charge. Rolling an 8 this time, that should be enough. So that's enough to get them within half an inch of the Gutrippaz, so they're going to charge into them. And then I will pick them to fight first. 10 attacks on 3s. Getting 6 hits, which wound on 3s. Only 3.
6s to save, none this time, so I'll finish off the wounded Gutripper and kill another.
But now the Cruel Boys get to attack back.
Yeah, and they're all going to go for the Knight-Arcanum again. 8 remaining Gutrippers means 16 attacks. 8 hits, 4s, that's 6 wounds.
6 saves. Get 1 on the box. Failed 1, down to 4 wounds.
Well, Morleck's going to move in again, and once again try and charge. Yeah, 7's easily enough to get him a knee-biter in range. So Morleck and knee-biter to make it in. 4 attacks from Morleck on the Art-Arcanum, getting 4 hits and 2 wounds.
4s to save. I'll make both.
Ooh, knee-biter gets a hit. Ooh, it still doesn't wound.
I'll do the Knight-Arcanum attacking the Gutrippaz next. She only hit once on 3s. And wound on 4. No.
We'll do the Gutrippaz next then, and they're all going to attack the Knight-Arcanum again. 16 attacks. There's 9 hits, looking for 4s again. 6 wounds, blimey.
6 more 3+ saves. Failed 2 more, down to 2 wounds. And it did explain in the walkthrough that when you pick a unit to fight, you can move the models up to 3 inches to make sure they're in weapon range. So the Vindictors, when they're picked to fight, will move up to 3 inches, so they're now all in range for Gutripper. So 10 attacks hitting on 3s again. 5 hits wounding on 3s. 1.
Well, 1 6+ save. Nope, so it doesn't wound.
That was a bit disappointing, but it is my turn next. There's no moving or charging necessary. So we'll go straight to the combat phase and pick the Knight-Arcanum to fight again, attacking the Gutrippaz before she gets killed. So 3s. Missed 3 times.
You know, I actually picked the Gutrippaz to go first because not very many Vindictors can actually attack Morleck from where they are, and I want to get the most out of the Gutrippaz before the Vindictors kill any more of them. 16 attacks. We got 10 hits. 4s. Oh, I think their luck's finally run out. It's only 3 hits.
3 saves. Oh, made them all. She lives. So yeah, the Vindictors can't really mostly attack Morleck, and even if they could, they couldn't kill him, I don't think, in this round of combat, so we're just going to attack the Gutrippaz again, because that's more win condition anyway. 5 hits again. And winning on 3s. Oh, 5 wounds, at least.
I figured out which end is the sharp end. 5 6+ saves. We made 1.
So we're whittling down the Gutrippaz.
So, but I've still got Morleck and knee-biter to go this turn. 4 attacks on 3s, getting 3. And 3s, getting 2.
2 4+ saves. Failed 1. It's 2 damage, so she goes down again. The Vindictors did a bit better this time, but still not enough to save the Knight-Arcanum, so it's another Cruel Boys victory. And I think we'll leave it there, and we'll recap these games for you now. So that was issue 7 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Stormbringer magazine, and the games, how do you think those went?
Honestly, I think victories both came about because of your poor rolling rather than any kind of strategic genius on my part. I think Mork was definitely on my side today. I think the Knight-Arcanum managed to do 1 damage, I think, across both games. I don't think, if she's going to roll that badly, I don't think it really matters what any other units try to do.
Yeah, and the Vindictors weren't particularly spectacular either. They killed maybe 4 or 5 Aurochs over 2 games.
Well, I mean, I still think you have to do 20 wounds to win, whereas I only have to do 6. And sure, you have a 3+ save on your guy and I have 6+ for mine, but that's still a lot of wounds to do. And, I mean, Morleck only has to wound her 3 times and get 3 wounds through. And unless they do something silly like completely surrounding her with the Gutrippaz and leave no space for Morleck, I'm going to be able to get him in. Possibly the better strategy, both sides to try and delay, or at least the Stormchaserz to get the Vindictors to charge the Killaboss and hold him up. Because I reckon the Knight-Arcanum should win against the Gutrippaz, or at least be fairly close. Because she can do it. There's potential there for a lot of damage. I mean, potentially she could kill 4 of them in one go. If she rolls 3 wounds and gets 3 and gets 9 damage. She should cut through them fairly easily, but apparently not today.
I think winning on 4s is what does it for her. Actually, it's just you're getting 1 wound per wounding hit per attack roll. So on average, you're probably going to kill 1 per turn. So yeah, especially if the Gutrippaz roll as well as they did, actually, they were frequently getting. So not a great day for the Stormcasting for the dice, at least. But we did get to learn quite a lot of new rules, so I guess we should talk about all of those. Movement is obviously movement. It's a massive part of the game. That's how you move things around the battlefield and make a game of it. I can understand why they haven't introduced it up until this point, because the combat phase, I suppose, is the heart of Age of Sigmar. That's what most of your time in a game will probably be spent in. But manoeuvring things around and getting them into fights is probably the way in which you actually win the game, by having the right things in the right place. So obviously important to learn.
And I suppose there is a lot of movement still in the combat phase. It doesn't call it by its name, but piling in is the 3-inch move you get to make when you're picked to fight to get you in range. There's some nuances to that which we haven't learnt yet, but that is important as well. And things like weapon ranges. Partially it's just to make things more convenient, because you can imagine if the Stormcast only had a 1-inch weapon range, their big bases would get in the way of each other, but thankfully they can actually fight in ranks.
And generally, if you have a long weapon like a spear or a staff, you'll have a 2-inch weapon range. And if you have an axe or a sword or something, it'll be a 1-inch weapon range. So some units might, on paper, have more attacks and do more damage with weapons, but they might have a shorter range, so they might struggle to get enough models engaged. Both the Vindictors and the Gutrippaz are both benefit from that weapon range because they have reasonably large bases, as you said. So, obviously, of course, we did learn charging as well, which is also a big part of the game, and that is usually the only way you can get into melee. The magazine's a bit vague on whether you're allowed to just move into melee range with a normal movement or whether you can move out of combat. I think in the next issue we'll learn about that and what you can and can't do. But normally you have to make a charge move to engage in melee. And although you might have a 2-inch weapon range, you do still have to get within half an inch of an enemy unit with at least one of your models to actually fight them. So the Knight-Arcanum can't do things like charge and then stand behind her friends if she makes a charge. She does still have to get into the face of the enemy to start with. So, and choosing where to charge can be pretty important as well, because you can charge lots of units in, but you still only get to pick to alternate fighting. So if you charge too many things, one of them might get messed up if you don't pick your fights in the right order.
Yeah, and also rules for coherency. That is actually fairly important. It might seem like a footnote, but that will be important because with regards to the 3-inch piling in, normally you can only go in towards the closest model, and that's on a per model basis. So you do have to be a bit careful there where you end up. You can sort of end up the unit getting too spread out if you're not careful, and that's very bad.
And for the bigger units that we have, like the Gutrippaz and the Hobgrots, it does mean that they are a bit more constrained in where they can go sometimes just by having to stay as a big group. But obviously we'll see much more of those rules as we go on, because those are all fundamental rules, so you'll see much more of the nuances of charging and moving and fighting as we go through. And of course we got 2 more paints.
Oh, and also this issue came with some paper wound markers as well, I guess, because they forgot to include them in the first issue.
Yes, and they did say they would come with issue 7, and they did come with issue 7, so you can't really fault them on that. They realised their mistake and fixed it. So if you were waiting for the wound markers so you could do it how it says in the magazine, you could do that now. But I think that's everything for this issue, so let us know what you thought in the comments below. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and let us know what you thought. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye for now.